Once Upon a Time in Harlem. The Diary of Lou Sims. The epic saga of a city within a city, and the man who came to define its most volatile era. Harlem in the 1960s was in the headwinds of a revolution, both political and criminal, that would inevitably intertwine. The war in Vietnam was dividing a nation, Black power was finding its voice, and a new generation of gangsters were ready to step into the spotlight. Coming off the Bumpy Johnson era, men like Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, Frank Matthews, and Guy Fisher seized on the heroin habit of soldiers returning from the jungles of Southeast Asia to create a new syndicate and build a black empire never before seen in the United States. Lou Sims was born into this Harlem tumult, the youngest of 10 siblings. To put food on the table, his older siblings went into the streets, partnered with the pros, became legends in the neighborhood, and brought their work home with them, meaning Lou was given a crash course in crime as soon as he could walk. By the age of 12, he had his first crew. A few years later, he was helping his older brothers run the hottest corner drug spots in Harlem. In 1982, at the age of 17, he caught his first state bid. When Lou was released in 1988, history had turned the page, and the relatively organized heroin era was over. The Wild West had descended over Harlem. Crack was king. Lawlessness ruled the street. Entire neighborhoods resembled the aftermath of a zombie apocalypse. Teenagers like Rich Porter, Alpo Martinez, and AZ Fashion became overnight millionaires with targets on their backs. And veteran gangsters like Clarence Preacher Heatley employed unimaginable brutality to ensure they got their piece of pie and didn't get left behind. And to accompany a new wave of criminal, a new type of sound was necessary, one offered by homegrown super entrepreneurs like Damon Dash, who seized on the energy and took hip-hop from the streets to the covertly gangster corporate boardroom, which proved just as dangerous. All in all, the crack years were a volatile mix of lightning-fast cash and stratospheric fame that rewrote the complex heroin-era rulebook and distilled it down to one point: might makes right. Lou thrived in the new Harlem, reigned supreme with his partner Charles "Fat" Leon Brown. They combined forces to reign over a crack operation that would expand past 142nd Street to include Louisiana, Alabama, and Delaware, to name a few. But when that kind of money is being made by regular citizens, it's only a limited time before the politicians get involved, and they want their cut, or they want it all. A lesson Lou Sims would learn the hard way, first taken advantage of by local politicians and community leaders looking to gentrify Harlem, and ultimately by the top attorney in the land, Janet Reno, and her boss, President Bill Clinton, who gave the approval to sentence Lou to death in the state of New York to serve their own interests. This is the story of how he survived. Click the link in the description to order your copy of Once Upon a Time in Harlem, The Diary of Lou Sims.